Hey guys, let's get more news about Stellars, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Russell Wilson's signing had surprising impact on Steelers' championship odds. The Pittsburgh Steelers made a big addition over the weekend when they agreed to a deal with Russell Wilson, but odds makers do not seem to believe that the veteran quarterback gives his new team a better chance to win the Super Bowl. Wilson announced via social media Sunday night that he is joining the Steelers. Many expected the news to result in a shift in Pittsburgh's championship odds, but that did not happen. DraftKings Sportsbook listed the Steelers with 75-1 odds to win the Super Bowl both before and after the team agreed to a deal with Wilson. On the surface, that makes it seem like odds makers and gamblers believe Wilson is not an upgrade over Kenny Pickett. There might be another explanation, however. The Steelers were a heavy gambling favorite to land Wilson for several days. It is possible that Pittsburgh's championship odds already factored in that Wilson might be the team's starting quarterback in 2024 even before Wilson agreed to his new deal. Wilson might have to compete with Pickett in training camp, but very few people expect the two to have a true open competition. The job is probably Wilson's to lose. Oddsmakers may have had a hunch that would be the case as soon as the Denver Broncos parted ways with Wilson. How day one of free agency has impacted the Steelers' 2024 draft plans. Unless you live under a rock, you probably know by now that the Pittsburgh Steelers have a new starting quarterback, former Super Bowl champion Russell Wilson. Let's ride. Outside of the former Broncos signal caller heading to the Iron City, there hasn't been much activity from the black and gold, outside of signing comedian Bill Burr's doppelganger, punter Cameron Johnston. However, plenty of moves across the league will impact the Steelers' approach to the upcoming draft. Here's what we can take away from how day one of free agency has impacted the Steelers' 2024 NFL draft plans. It was already looking unlikely, but the Steelers won't be drafting a quarterback in the first or second round this year. Names like Oregon QB Bo Nix and Washington QB Michael Penix Jr. have been occasionally floated due to the likelihood they will be drafted somewhere in the back half of the first round. After signing Wilson, and likely retaining Kenny Pickett, it's safe to assume that the third rostered quarterback will be very late-round pick or a cheap free agent. The Steelers did not meet with any signal callers at the Combine, so although it's tough to talk uncertainties, this ship has sailed. After releasing center Mason Cole a few weeks ago, it's clear that the Steelers have a huge void in the middle of the offensive line. Today, 4 of the top available centers were plucked from the free agent pool, none of them are coming to the Steel City. Former Buffalo Bills C. Mitch Morse will reportedly sign a 2-year, $10 million contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and former Broncos C. Lloyd Cushenberry will reportedly head to the Titans, ending the idea that he could reunite with Russell Wilson. It's also worth mentioning that former Dallas Cowboys C. Tyler Biadasz is off the board as he'll head to the Washington Commanders. 2 centers have been frequently mocked to Pittsburgh leading up to the NFL draft. Those names include Oregon's powerful bully Jackson Powers Johnson, who has been compared to Kansas City Chiefs center Creed Humphrey, as well as local product Zach Frazier, who was a standout at West Virginia. If I were an odds maker, I'd jump the percentage chances that Pittsburgh addresses the middle of the offensive line early in the draft after today's proceedings. After the release of cornerback Patrick Peterson, which will likely be followed by a cut of cornerback Levi Wallace, Joey Porter Jr. is starting to look like Will Smith in the living room of the very last scene of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. In other words, the cupboard is quite bare. Could a trade be in the works? Chiefs All-World CB Jarius Sneed is a name that's been circling in NFL wins and would arguably be the most impactful acquisition this offseason. Move over, Russ. Even if Pittsburgh makes a move for a defensive back, they should still prioritize the position early in the draft. Clemson's Nate Wiggins and Iowa's Cooper DeJean are 2 names to look out for in the first round, while Iowa State's TJ Tampa and Missouri's Ennis Rakestraw are potential second-round steals. Those are just a few immediate takeaways from day one of the legal tampering period, and GM Omar Khan certainly isn't anywhere close to turning off his phone just yet. Of course, by the time you read this, the Steelers will have acquired both a center and a cornerback. Steelers add Russell Wilson, AFC North gets tougher. Pittsburgh Steelers, Russell Wilson goes to Steel City. The Steelers are turning the page at quarterback, this time to a Super Bowl winner. Russell Wilson agreed to a contract with the Steelers Sunday evening. It's a reported one-year deal for the league minimum of $1.2 million. The Denver Broncos, who informed Wilson last week that he will be released, will be on the hook for the rest of Wilson's $37.8 million salary. It means the end of Kenny Pickett's time as the starter, at least for now, after the Steelers drafted him in the first round in 2022. Wilson had troubles in Denver, but he's not too far removed from back-to-back 4,000-yard passing seasons in Seattle in 2020 and 2019. Now the 35-year-old veteran will look to take the Steelers, who finished 25th in the league in passing last season, to the next level and back in championship contention. It seemed as if the Bengals would have their dangerous wide receiver duo back again this year with Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins, but not so fast. Higgins has reportedly requested a trade after there hasn't been progress on a new contract following the Bengals placing the franchise tag on him last week. The early reports are that the Bengals could perhaps fetch a first or early second-round pick for Higgins. While the Bengals may lose a wide receiver, the Browns added one in former Bronco Jerry Jeudy. Jeudy is entering the final year of his rookie contract and reportedly due nearly $13 million this season. Cleveland gave up 2024 fifth-round and sixth-round picks in exchange. Jeudy posted 54 catches for 758 yards and 2 touchdowns last season in Denver. The 2020 first-round pick hasn't had his breakout yet, but the Browns are betting on it coming with Deshaun Watson and opposite Amari Cooper, another Alabama product who Jeudy had long looked up to. Now, Cooper, 29, will have a new number 2 receiver beside him in Jeudy, 24, who the Browns are hoping can still eventually develop into the number 1 receiver himself despite the up-and-down tenure in Denver, ESPN's Jake Trotter wrote. In the meantime, Jeudy should give the Browns the legitimate deep threat they've been craving for quarterback Deshaun Watson, who can and wants to throw the ball deep. And you, fan, what do you think of the situation Russell Wilson? Leave your opinion in the comments.